While we've been on break, there have been several updates on cases we've covered. Before we launch our all-new episodes for you in March, we wanted to bring you this update episode to cover all the new developments since we've been away. This week's episode is Baby Snowpocalypse Update 2K21. A bump in the night, your heart fills with dread. Probably a murderer who wants you dead. It could be a ghost, a demon, or worse. Perhaps you're the victim of a witch's curse. It's hopeless, you're doomed. You'd call a priest if you could. You'd rather just listen to Sinisterhood.
We're back.
I felt like, was it George? He goes, I'm back, baby.
I'm back, baby.
I'm back, baby. I've just been on cloud nine all day. I'm just like so excited.
Me too.
We were driving to pick up hamburgers, and I was like, we get to record tonight.
Where'd you get hamburgers from?
Liberty Burger.
Ooh, love Liberty Burger. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very good. Got the Napa. Got some got a little olives, got a little gorgonzola, arugula. It was good.
Speaking of olives, our neighbors who I love dearly and who are listeners, so hi, Keith and Doug. They brought us a homemade sourdough olive bread, and Heather's shaking her head in disgust because she gets so mad that she doesn't have good neighbors, and I do.
It's not that they're not good. I just don't know them. I wrote about them this week. One of them called the cops on Paris for taking a package off her own porch.
I mean, there you go. I don't think she's bringing you cookies.
I found him on the internet that he is a child pornographer. We're not hanging out anytime soon.
He's a child pornographer?
Well, convicted recently. In the Obama administration.
Yikesies.
Yeah, it was in the Obama administration. And then the other lady, when the weather's nice, she has a bird and she yells at it on the porch. She gossips to the bird. It's bizarre. She could have a Bluetooth in, I don't know, or it's the bird. But these were not. No one's bringing me loaves.
Oh, nobody's bringing you loaves. Well, and the second part was the most delicious croissants I've ever had that he also made. He's incredible. I think he's starting. I think he's going to have a store soon. So when that time comes, I'll let everybody know.
Please. Didn't you send me a picture of what you called your dick swinging neighbor's giant snow sculpture?
Dude, that thing was, I'm not exaggerating, probably 15 feet tall.
It was humongous. They had to use 12? A ladder.
Yeah. I mean, they shoveled their sidewalk, and so they just dumped all the snow there. Mm-hmm. We just let it all melt. Yeah, we don't have a shovel. Ella has a tiny shovel that would have taken me years to do.
Aaron used my brother-in-law is a pyrographer. He used a blowtorch and he just melted it.
That's smart.
Cool. Yeah, if you got one, why wouldn't you use it?
No, yeah. Well, yeah, that's one of the things we're going to be talking about in our update episode is
that's right.
All the things that we have been going through over the past month or so. Things the world has been going through, things that our beloved state of Texas has gone through.
Yeehaw.
It's been a crazy, wild ride, and it's good to be back. And thank you to everyone for all of your messages of missing us, support, checking in to see how we were doing in the storms, all your messages to me about congratulating me on my new edition. And we're going to update you guys on all of that now. And then we'll get into, there's been a ton of updates on cases we've covered in the past.
We're like pretty much the future tellers.
We're ahead of the times.
These are stories that we had done like years ago.
Yeah.
And it all cropped up while we were on break. It was so funny and also convenient for re-releases. But the first bit of news is the best bit of news is you got the baby.
I do have the baby now. He is here. He was born on January 12th, 3 days late, just like Ella.
Oh, look at that.
So, yes, it was a fast and furious labor and delivery.
And you had a sandwich before.
Yes, at 4:30, I was eating a cold cut combo from Subway. At 6:57, I had a baby. So it went from me texting my midwife about 4 p.m. and I was like, I'm starting to have contractions, but I can still talk through them. They're not that bad. And
I could still eat a gnarly sub.
Yeah, I was like, Tommy went to Subway, and we're watching Chernobyl, so I'm just gonna chill. Side note, Chernobyl is top 3 best HBO series of all time, in my opinion. It is.
You've been telling
phenomenal.
me.
So good.
Got to.
Holy shit, it's so good. But I really wanted to eat this cold cut combo, so I was like, please, dude, just hold off a little bit longer until this gets here. So he got home, I ate it, and like halfway through, I was like, ooh, things are starting to ramp up. And afterwards, I was like, okay, I think we should start getting things ready. And I texted my midwife and was like, things are getting a little more intense. I don't know if I want to wait any longer to get up there because I don't want to be in the car with them getting any worse.
Especially rush hour time
Dude,
on a weekday.
Yes, and it was. And she's like, okay, I'm heading up there now. So we got in the car. By the time I got in the car, I was like, I'm going to have this baby in the car. Like within 15 minutes, things ramped up so quickly. And of course, it was rush hour. And even though the birth center is 10 minutes from us, and Tommy had it in his GPS, and we were both just eyes glued to that GPS. Like, if this at any moment turns red and is like, adds time on, I don't know what we're going to do. And
you never know. There could just be an accident in front of you.
Yeah.
Even if it says 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm. And at one point, we were on 30 at a complete standstill. And I was like, I'm going to have this baby in the car.
On 30.
Also, how bizarre that like no one around us knows what's going on right now in the car, you know? And so then I was like, man, do we ever know what's going on in the cars next to us? So have some grace when people want to get over, or maybe, you know, just like
they're trying
let
to
them over.
Because their wife is their wife is crowning next to you.
You
Let
never
them
know.
over. If they put their blinker on, let them over.
You never know what somebody's going through. We made it to the birth center. We pulled in to the parking lot at 5:39, and I walked in. I immediately fell into Becky, who's my midwife. She's also a very dear friend of mine. Fell into her arms and started sobbing. I cried so many times during the labor, which I did not do at all with Ella, but I was so emotional. I don't know. And I was like, I don't know why I'm so emotional. And they're like, because you're about to meet your baby. It's an emotional thing. But I was just like so emotional. And,
well, maybe because with Ella, you didn't know you didn't know that feeling afterwards. And with him, you know how much you're going to love him.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So things ramped up very quickly. It was, way more intense than my labor with Ella, and at times scary. I mean, it's scary. Like a couple times I was like, I can't do this, and they're like,
it was shooting out of you.
Yeah, well, and you're just in so much pain, and you know, I had like more down breaks in between the contractions with Simon. His name is Simon, by the way, everybody. But because with Ella it was just kind of like constant, but the contractions were so much more intense with him. And at 6:57, he came into the world.
He's beautiful.
He's beautiful. Yes. And it was a fast labor and delivery, but, a very intense one. So, but all went well when it was over and done with. My midwife always says labor is like grabbing onto the front of a freight train and just having to wait for it to stop. Like you can't, it's out of your control entirely, which is the craziest part about it. Cause you're like, I can't stop this.
Yeah. Your body's just going.
No, it's I mean, like we just got to wait this out. Cause there's so many times during it where I'm like, I just need a break. I just want it to stop. And your body's like, sorry, dude. That's not how
no break here.
That's not how this works. Yeah. Yeah. Afterwards I wrote down, some things that I said throughout the evening because things were just coming out of my mouth that
well, I'm sure.
Yeah. When it was like, he was almost out and internally it felt like he was right there. And it felt like a giant Thanksgiving turkey was just trying to come out of me.
Well, he was 10 pounds.
Yeah.
Right?
He was 10 pounds, 5 ounces. Ella was 10 pounds, 6 ounces. I don't give birth to small babies. And I remember telling them, like, he's just reach up there and grab him. And they were like, we can't do that. That's not how this works.
Yank him out.
Yeah. But, so.
Well, he's here.
He is here. It's been a whirlwind. I've debated and I asked Tommy if I was going to talk about this. And we decided, why not talk about it? Because we think the less stigma that's around these types of things is good. And it's nothing that, like, we're ashamed of or anything. But the first week was definitely very rough because Simon was born with something called, on the right side, called grade 3 microtia with atresia, which means, and we did not know this beforehand. So this was a total shock to us when he was born. So he was not born with a middle ear or in an underdeveloped outer ear, but he does have an inner ear. So what that means is he's deaf on his right side and either will have to have a hearing aid or surgery at some point. There's a lot of stuff going on. But because we didn't know that was something to expect, it was very shocking and very upsetting. And when you have a baby and they come into this world, all you want for them is to be healthy. And you're overjoyed by their presence. And then when a medical thing pops up, it was hard because you want so hard to be present and just be nothing more than happy about this new arrival. But then there's this thing that's kind of this dark cloud looming over it that you're scared. You don't know what's going on. You're just waiting to get into doctors to see what this even is and everything. So the first week was really tough. But once we saw some doctors and the initial shock kind of wore off, we're definitely feeling better and doing better. And from the beginning, all we have said is we never want him to feel self-conscious or for anyone to treat him any differently. This is just who he is. And like our therapist has said, it'll just become part of his story. It's not a huge debilitating thing. It's pretty uncommon. But we have found like some online communities and stuff that we've learned a lot about it and everything, and meeting with doctors and everything. And who knows? And one reason I wanted to talk about it is there may be a listener that has this, or you have a child that has this or something. If you do, I would love to hear from you because it is rare and there are different kind of schools of thought on
treatment and stuff.
And what to do and everything. I'd love to hear your stories and everything. But we're the good news is he initial tests show that he has full hearing in his left ear. So our main we were really concerned that he wasn't going to be able to hear at all, and that would be a totally different can of worms. But it seems like he can, and so the fact that he can't in his right shouldn't affect his development or speech or anything like that. So, but we still have it's a long road ahead, and not a ton can even be done until he's older. So we'll see how things go. But so that was, having a newborn is already so much, and you're so tired and you have a million things to deal with. And then when that happened, it was even a more stressful situation. Yeah.
And you have more appointments, and especially getting in to see specialists and doctors and all different pediatric experts and stuff like that.
And you're just worried. You're just like, I don't want my brand new baby to start the world off with a hardship, you know? And
or be, like you said, be teased or something. But didn't you say one of the doctors said one of their older patients was a musician, like a drummer or something like that? So, it's hopefully it'll, like your therapist said, it'll be part of his story. He'll adapt. He's going to be what he's going to be.
Yeah.
So that'll be,
And from everything we've read, because there's a lot of stuff on Reddit, it's like, the people that are most adjusted with it were their parents just like treated it like the color of their eyes. This is just like part of who you are. It's not like a big deal or anything like that. So that was going on, Heather.
And then you texted me
and then
a photo.
Something crazy happened.
Unbelievable. This is when I mentioned, and somebody asked about like, where you guys been? When are you coming back? I'm like, We've had some medical issues. And by we, I mean Christy and her family, like not me. I've just been receiving the messages and trying to be supportive from afar. The picture you sent me initially looked like a staph infection or like a bruise.
Yeah.
Like it was maybe like silver dollar size, purple and red spot on your leg.
Yeah. Yes. So one night I rolled over in bed. It was actually January 23rd because I've had to document all of this. And I felt this sore on my leg. And I was like, what is that? And I looked and I had a red spot. And my midwife had told me like, hey, blood clots can happen in postpartum. So I immediately was like, holy shit, I have a blood clot.
Yeah.
It turns out it wasn't. And because I was texting Becky, like, this is what's going on. She's like, it doesn't look or sound like that. But if it gets worse, go to urgent care. Well, a few days go by, it gets worse. So I go to urgent care and the nurse is like, I think this is a bite of some sort. You can see a little puncture wound in the middle, like something bit you. And I was like, I didn't ever feel anything bite me. I don't know what this could be. She's like, well, there's nothing much we can do right now. I'm going to prescribe you antibiotics. Come back in a few days. Go back in a few days. It's gotten worse. She's like, we still can't drain it. I know, guys. This is so gross. This is so gross.
Prepare yourself. When you told me what happens next, I audibly gasped on a conference call and had to lie and say I stubbed my toe. Like, it was, I didn't want to be like, my friend's texting me medical photos, which I asked for. To be fair,
that's true. I did
photos.
say, do you want to see these? Because I knew you would. You were like, yes, of course I do. So she's like, come back in a few days. So I go back a few days later. By this time, it's significantly worse.
From the photos, it looked like it was throbbing in the photo.
Oh, it was like, it looked like a giant blood blister is what it looked like. So she's like, okay, well, it's time. And it had started to kind of like seep. I'm grossed out by saying this, so I apologize if you're grossed out hearing this. Just skip ahead like 5 minutes. She's like, well, we're gonna have to drain it. So
Brace yourself.
I literally almost passed out in the room because I don't do well with this kind of stuff. So she starts doing it, and all of a sudden she's like, what's this?
Oh, that's not what you want to hear ever.
Well, when she walked into the room, she goes, what's wrong with your leg? And I go,
bitch, you're the doctor.
I go, I don't know. And she goes, that looks ugly. I was like, I know. I don't know what's wrong.
Which urgent care?
The one in Casa Linda.
Well, there you go. I was like, are you sure it was a real doctor? You're like, I was in the back of the Albertsons. It's in the same parking lot as the Albertsons.
It is, yes. So she starts like doing stuff, and she goes, what's this? And I look down. And there's these little white balls. And she goes, I think these are eggs.
Fuck my life. God.
And I said, are you kidding me? And she's like, I don't know. And I go, oh my God, those do look like eggs. I almost passed out. And she's like, well, let's take a culture. So she starts putting them in this like this thing. And I'm like, what is this? And she's like, I don't know, but whatever bit you, she kept saying, deposited something inside of you. Which,
please stop.
Don't ever tell me something deposited. Like I'm a host for something.
You were?
I was. Oh, well, we thought. Luckily, spoiler, they were not eggs, but.
Thank God.
Was it any better what it was?
No,
maybe. I don't know.
More scarier.
So then I'm like flipping out. I'm texting Tommy while this is going on. I was like, I'm dead. I'm dying. I cannot believe what's happening. And he was like, what? What are you talking about? I was like, I don't know. We got to move. So
burn down the house.
Yeah. So she bandages me up. She's like, okay, you're going to have to go see the wound clinic. Guys, my life has been so fucking crazy the past month. So I have to start going to the doctor there. I have been having to take care of this for a month now. While I'm seeing them, she calls me a few days later and she's like, well, we got the culture back. It looks like it was a brown recluse. And I was like, are you kidding me? How could this have bitten me? She's like, we call them silent biters because you don't feel them bite you. They just bite you and then you discover the bite like a day later or something.
I have creepy crawly
I
feelings.
know. Oh, man, I haven't slept well since this happened. And I was like, well, so were they eggs? And she goes, no, I don't think they were eggs. I think it was poison.
Ugh. Just living in your leg.
Yes, basically, it was little balls of spider poison that was in my leg. And by the way, I have a giant fucking hole in my leg from this thing.
Because they scooped all the stuff out and packed it.
So I've been having to pack it with freaking gauze every day for 2.5 weeks. I had an update. You asked me before we started recording, how's your leg? And I was like, I have an update. So I had my appointment today. I was supposed to go last week. It got canceled because of the damn storm. So I went today. I now have to make a collagen paste every day out of powder and saline.
As if you got a lot of free time to be doing that.
And pack the hole in my leg with it. I've got to do this for another 2 freaking weeks.
Jesus Christ.
And I asked the doctor, I go, is this going to scar? And he just goes, yes.
Fuck you, man. He's like, we're not in the business of false hope.
And then he goes,
you're disfigured. Your leg's ruined.
I'm more concerned with not losing the leg, though. And I went, what? I didn't even know that was on the table. It's not that big of a hole.
This is the wound place that's like right across the street from urgent care. They all went to the same school of like, just don't sugarcoat it. No. Just yell out whatever the first thought you have when you walk in the room, yell it at them.
Yes.
You lose your leg.
What? No bedside manner university is where all of these medical professionals went.
What is wrong with you? Like, who says that?
Wow, what's wrong with your leg? That's ugly.
It's all fucked up.
I was like, I fucking know. It's you tell me.
Oh my God.
So yeah, so that's and then the antibiotics they gave me for my leg gave me thrush in my titties. So which is a very painful infection in your boobs, which I still have. So been a lot's been going on.
Like I said, you got a lot of free time, so thank you for being here with me today.
Yeah. So
between your paste mixing and your ointments, your baby that you have to raise.
Yeah.
Oh, what a couple of weeks.
And then a giant ice storm happened. It was like 4 fucking degrees here, and nobody knows what to do. And the whole state was without power and electricity and water.
We learned on TikTok that the snow is fake, but Bill Gates and Joe Biden sent fake snow to make the Texas energy market look bad.
This?
People on TikTok are picking up fistfuls of, there was videos of them picking up fistfuls of the snow, and we're like, this ain't real snow, it don't even make your hand wet. And then the guy's hand's like glistening. And another girl makes a snowball, packs a tight she's outside. This is my favorite part of how stupid just like human beings are. She packs a really tight frozen snowball outside when it's like, 8 degrees. Gets a hairdryer and has got the hairdryer going on the snowball, and she's like, it ain't even melting. There ain't even no drips. And I was like, you're really making our state look really fucking bad. She's like, there ain't even no drips. This is fake snow. This is Obama snow. And you're like, it's not. Oh, God.
Oh,
so
man.
They think that the snow was chemical, like fake, not real snow. I was here. I was in it. I've lived in Chicago. Mm-hmm. It was real snow. Mm-hmm. I've been in real snow. I've been in cold weather like this. We were, as a state, it's funny because it always happens when Texas gets cold weather and people are like, oh, you guys can't even handle your weather. Well, in Minnesota, it's always -12. Yeah, you just said always. It's never negative anything here. 0% of the time is it negative anything. And so everything exploded.
Yep. All just the like pipes if it was, everywhere exploded.
If it was above 100 degrees for multiple days in Minnesota, a ton of people would die. Yeah. Everything probably would explode because you're not used to that.
All your houses would melt.
Yes, your shit would melt. And so it's like, we're used to what we're used to. You're used to what you're used to. We all got to get used to everything because the planets. Bill Gates is working with Harvard to dim the sun, honestly. I mean, that's like a real thing because shit's getting fucked up. So, yeah, it was, it was
wild.
There's a reason why I left the old Windy City, and it's because I did not want to live in snow drifts and -degree temperature.
Yeah, it was a cold I've never known in Texas.
No, it's never been like this.
Like, we had alerts saying, if you're exposed for more than 30 minutes, you could get frostbite. Like that kind of cold.
My sister's face. She was outside and her cheeks weren't covered and they were real red. Mm-hmm. It's almost like, windburn, frostbite. I drove to what's a normally 15-minute drive to my mom's house. Took me an hour to go and pick her up because she was multiple days without heat, or was 24 hours without power, and was trying to tough it out and hang out in the cold. I was like, no, I'm going to come get you.
Yeah.
So she came over. It was very nice. We got to hang out. She and Paris bonded over oatmeal. They both really like oatmeal.
Oatmeal is good.
He's very into overnight oats right now. So
okay.
That's his new I call it his mush cups. It's just a cup of mush. So my mom was here 3 days, and then we never lost power because we're next to a fire station. So my mom was here for a while, and then I had friends come and use the shower. And then other friends that didn't have power, I went and took them to the grocery store because they didn't have any food that they could, that was not you had to cook or needed to be refrigerated. So it was like Grand Central Station over here. So we're now at work, because I work at Legal Age, trying to figure out ways to help people because there's so many different. You just don't realize, how it impacts different communities in different ways. So it is hellacious what has happened. And I went down a whole rabbit hole of Texas energy regulations and why people with gritty are getting like $10,000 electric bills and stuff. So
it's wild. Luckily, we did not lose power or water. We did lose the internet for a week, which, if there's one thing I learned during this storm, it's that we've got to update our DVD collection.
You're watching all kinds of stuff.
Tommy went to Redbox.
Did he?
Which, yes, and we also had to explain to Ella what Blockbuster was.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That threw another wrench in our, we're like, well, we'll record. And you're like, I can't get you an audio file. You don't have the computer.
Yeah. So there's been a lot. So we appreciate everybody's patience and support, and to everyone in Texas that was affected and is still affected. Our hearts go out to you. And man, some shit needs to change for sure.
Yeah. And we can put a link to like mutual aid, and the New York Times ran a great story about different organizations in Texas that need help and around Dallas and stuff like that. So we can throw up a link so y'all in the show notes.
The biggest thing that needs help is our fucking idiot Senator Ted Cruz, who just decides to...
Did you see SNL?
Go. I haven't watched it yet. I've been saving it. Is it great?
Adie Bryant is very
just
good.
Just seeing her Ted Cruz with that hair, I died. Yeah,
she's great. She's. I'm glad she's back. She was gone for a minute because she was filming Shrill. I'm glad she's back. She's so fucking.
She's
funny.
So great. Yes, I love her.
Oh man. Well, and then we also, speaking of laughing and updated DVD collections, you got the internet back, and you had it before that. We want to talk a little bit about what we've been into.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, if there's one thing you do a lot of when you're on maternity leave, it's binge watch shows. And I have a list. I just was watching the weirdest shit. Some good stuff, some not good stuff. We watched Dave. Okay. Which, if you guys haven't seen Dave, it's so good. It's about it's like Curb, but it's Lil Dicky, who's a rapper. Watch both seasons of Detroiters. So funny. Oh my God. Good. I can't believe there's not more. It's so funny.
A crime that got canceled. I'll be doing nothing and my brain will just go, ooh, Devereaux.
Yes. So good. I love competition shows. So I watched both seasons of Glow Up.
Okay.
Which is a makeup competition show. Next in Fashion. I am very into Ink Master right now.
Oh, okay.
I'm on season 5. I'll tell you what, though, the contestants on Ink Master are some of the shittiest human beings that have ever been on a reality show in the history of reality shows. I think the producers tell them, like, be as shitty and mean as possible. Like, every time Tommy walks in, he's like, is this the season where everyone's nice to each other? I'm like, nope, doesn't exist. They're all huge assholes. But one of the judges is Oliver Peck, who owns Elm Street Tattoo in Deep Ellum, and that's where I got my first 2 tattoos. And when I was getting my first tattoo, he walked in and talked to us. Yeah, it was awesome.
He and his wife, I think, own Tiki Loco restaurant. They have a lot of good gluten-free treats, and they make very good nachos. It's like a cafe thing. Yeah,
I didn't know that. I didn't know he was married.
Yeah, lady friend, whatever, wife, girlfriend. I thought they were married.
He used to be married to Kat Von D, who's another tattoo artist, but they split up. But I did not know he owned that. That's very cool. But the thing I've been most into, and
you told me before we got on the air, I have no idea this fact about you.
Yes. So it all started from watching Dave, and Lil Dicky is a freestyle rapper. If you don't know who he is, look him up. He's very fun, but also super talented. But I have become obsessed, and I don't like to use that word, with watching freestyle rap videos on YouTube. I love it.
I love that you love that.
I'm so in awe of these people.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like improv.
Crazy. It really is. And my latest guy that I just think is like amazing, and all I've been doing is watching videos for like 3 days straight of him. His name's Harry Mack. Everyone stop listening right now and go to YouTube and just look him up. He is so incredible. First of all, he seems like the nicest guy on the planet. He's also very good looking. But he does improv essentially, where he will just take like 3 words. He'll go up to like people on the street and be like, "Give me 3. I want to do some freestyle rap. Give me 3 words," and they'll be like, "Banana,
Pineapple.
yeah, pineapple, exactly. And whatever." And then he'll just start rapping, and he'll incorporate all these words and talk about it. I mean, it's mind blowing how fucking good he is. It's insane.
That's awesome.
And he does this thing called that Omegle.
Oh yeah, where you chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, I went down a rabbit hole about that and child predators last night.
Oh god.
But he'll do this thing where he'll just like be on Omegle, and somebody he'll connect with people, and he'll just be like, "Hey, I'd like to do some freestyle rap," and he'll do it, and everybody loses their mind. And the thing that's so amazing about it is how much joy it brings these people that are just like blown away at how talented he is. And like, I'm like, what a gift to be able to make these people
like laugh
and just be like, feel this, like, I mean, I feel like joy watching him because one, he's so passionate about doing it, but he's so freaking talented and it's so impressive. I just love watching people do the thing that they're really good at, no matter who
element.
it is. Yes. I mean,
Yes.
if you're a musician, an artist, a athlete, whatever, like watching people do the things that they really excel at is so impressive and enjoyable.
Yeah.
So go watch him and Lil Dicky and whoever else. If you know of some good ones, email me some because I am very into the freestyle rap scene right now.
A sentence I never thought I'd hear you say, and yet here we are.
Yes.
I love it.
What have you been into?
Well, my mom, while she was over here, recommended the HBO documentary The Lady in the Dale, which is produced by the Duplass brothers. And it's about Elizabeth Carmichael, a woman in the 70s who released this fuel-efficient 3-wheeled car. And she's trying to get investors, and feels like Big 3 Auto is like trying to tear her down, basically, and stop her. And then this mystery starts to kind of unfold of like, how does the car work? Does it even work? Is this a legitimate business or a scam? And then also like, who is this woman? Where did she come from? What's her background? And there's a surprise appearance by a man named Dick Carlson who sucks and is a huge asshole. And guess who his son is?
Who?
Lil Tucker Carlson.
Who's little Tucker Carlson?
Tucker Carlson from Fox News.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
there you go. Apple
Yeah.
didn't fall far from the tree.
You're watching this and you're like, this guy Dick is kind of a dick. And then like towards the end, you're like, oh, that's Tucker Carlson's dad. That makes sense. That's why. I watched The Office again because, of course, I did. But it's on Peacock, so some of the episodes are extended with the deleted scenes, which is very annoying if you're watching it with me because I'm like, that wasn't in the original episode. That was a deleted scene. But it's fun because Paris has only really ever watched it through once, so it's funny to watch him like laugh out loud at certain things. And
I still laugh out loud, and I've seen them a million times.
And then he's been showing me some episodes of Community. I've seen a couple seasons, but he's like, this is a really good one. But the real thing I've been obsessed with is The Simpsons.
Simpsons are great.
Never watched it like a lot, and especially not much after I was like 10 or 11. And so
I thought you had a bunch of Bart Simpson stuff.
I did as a kid.
But you didn't watch it?
I didn't really watch it. I had the Simpsons Sings the Blues cassette, which I wish I could find. I'm sad that I can't. And then I had some T-shirts and stuff. Again, I had a Bartman T-shirt. I went on eBay to try to find the same Bartman T-shirt I used to have. It's $95 on eBay.
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me of a show I also watched called Robbie's World, which is all about this dude that owns this vintage resale shop in Arizona. And why it made me think of that is like he'll go and find these shirts that are like $2 at Goodwill and then sell them for like fucking $200. And it's shit like that, like Simpsons stuff.
The people never know. They don't know what they're getting. And to that end, I've also you talking about people in their element doing things they love. I've been very into TikTok videos, but very specific genres of, there's a girl named Jax that she sings songs like from the other perspective of stuff. So like that, that song that's like, why do you gotta be so rude? She sings it from the perspective of the girl's dad of like, this asshole kid walked in my house. But she's got a gorgeous voice. She plays piano. She's phenomenal. And she was on Ellen recently and it's kind of blown up. And there's just a couple of singers on there that they don't have huge followings, but they have these gorgeous voices. And I'm like, I just want to hear you sing a song that you wrote. And then there's also a subset of TikTok where it's all TV news anchors, like behind the scenes. And they do a lot where they talk about how they talk in their news anchor accents or whatever, dialects. So that's all been interesting. And become a little bit of a doomsday prepper. I sent you my bracelet. I got a paracord 8-in-1 bracelet with a knife, a fire starter, a whistle.
Nice.
Emergency whistle. I got into stonks for a while with Wall Street
You sure
bets.
did. Yeah, that was a whole thing that happened too. You and Tommy both with the freaking GameStop stonks. Jesus.
I took a bath on GameStop. I'm still waiting for it to go to the moon. I'm holding diamond hands. And the weirdest thing, and I was kind of into it starting like last summer, but I've really dived deep back into it, is Billy Joel music. I never really liked.
I love Billy Joel.
I thought he was fine, and then
he's great.
I just have started listening to every single song of his on Spotify, and I dug through my record collection, which is a hybrid of my parents' records I've bought, and my Aunt Darlene's records, and I found 2 Billy Joel records, but it's not the one I want. I want fucking Turnstiles. My favorite Billy Joel record's fucking Turnstiles. It's so goddamn good, start to finish. Kill Me, Summer Highland Falls, like play that at my funeral and my wedding and every day of my life. I love that song. I am so super into specifically Turnstiles, and I cannot find it at any record store.
Oh, really?
So I'm going to have to I'll probably have to buy it off eBay or something.
Good Records doesn't have it?
I went to Good Records. I bought 2 John Mayer records and a Decemberist record. Not what I was there for. But no, they didn't have it. And then I went to Half Price Books, and they did not have it. Had a nice conversation with the Half Price Books worker. Of course, we're all in masks and everything, but I felt very safe at Half Price. Everything was very spaced out. And same with Good Records. Everything was very spaced out. There was shields everywhere. It was nice. But
Amazon doesn't have it?
They do, but it's like third-party sellers. So I'm looking for Turnstiles. But then I got down a rabbit hole talking about YouTube and people valuing things. There's a subsection of YouTube of vinyl collectors. So I've been watching a guy from a place called Noble Records. He has a ton of videos where he's talking about like top 10 records everybody should have, top 10 records that are really rare but people don't know about them, or that are really sought after but are really available. Like people think Thriller is really, rare, but Thriller, there's like 66 million copies. So
yeah,
very now into vinyl record.
I love vinyls.
YouTube. So that's
very nice. I wonder if I have that, because my record collection is also a collection of my dad's, but also my own. And he may have had that. I'll have to look. Yeah, about 3 months ago, Tommy came up to me out of nowhere and goes, "Man, Billy Joel's really good." And I was like, "Is it 1984? Yeah, he's really good." Like, did you just now discover him?
Well, and that's what.
Yeah, he's really good.
Paris has never really listened to him, and so I'll play that, or like Paul Simon. And I said, if my soul was any age, it's like a 26 to 30-year-old in New York in like the late 1970s. That's like where I'm at. We also watched the Bee Gees documentary on HBO called How to Mend a Broken Heart. Very fascinating. Also, the Bee Gees had some fucking hits.
Oh, yeah.
And it's funny because it was like every time the Bee Gees got popular, there was a backlash. And then they got like smacked down, and then they would come back, reinvent something. Like they came out with totally badass Saturday Night Fever music, and then they're famous again. It's crazy. Hearing about how songwriters write songs is just like so cool. He's like, I just heard the way that the tires thumped on a bridge, and I thought, jive talking. Maybe I'll sing. It's like, what do you mean it just came to you?
That's what I'm talking about. People, like, one thing, as silly as this may sound, is like TikTok makes me realize is like how much talent is out there.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And that's what I'm like, there's a barrier to these people there's a kid on TikTok that I think he's Samoan, and he has the most gorgeous voice. I mean, he's got a voice better than like Ed Sheeran, better than anybody that's famous right now. And he's just like in a really small town somewhere, but his voice is phenomenal. And now he has like tons and tons of TikTok followers, and people hopefully get discovered that way. I do like TikTok because it's not anybody I know, and I kind of like the disassociation that's not going to like, it's some people I know, but it's not every single person in my life. It's like, oh, here's a lady who is like on her break at her shift at Subway in Washington State. And like, what does she have to say today?
And you're like, and damn, she's funny as hell.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, man. People reacting. I have a whole subset of people on there that all they do is duet other videos and just make faces and be like, idiot. And it gets me. God, it's so funny.
Tommy's very into TikTok right now, too. So he'll show me a bunch of stuff.
Sinisterhood will be right back. Everybody knows my guilty pleasure is listening to 90s boy band music while I run down the street. But one thing I'm not guilty about, all the gaming I've been doing.
Oh, yeah.
I feel no shame about my best fiends. We text each other and be like, you fiending? I'm fiending. BFing.
The other day, you were like, I'm just sitting here fiending. I was like, I'm fiending too.
We're fiending at the same time. We were stuck in the snow for a week, and guess what we were able to do? Best fiends. We were fiending.
I did not have internet for an entire week, so I couldn't stream anything. But it was fine because I was best fiending all the live long day. I'm on level, I want to say 257 right now.
I'm almost to 200. I'm like
That's awesome.
creeping up on 200.
It gets harder.
I know. I love it though. And I told you, even if I lose a level, I don't care because it's so much fun to play it. It is possibly the best puzzle game. It's a match 3 game like no other. And there are thousands of levels and new content added all the time. And I just can't stop playing it. I love it.
Yeah, I love it. It's very satisfying and rewarding to see everything match up and explode and all the flashy colors and everything, and you just feel a sense of accomplishment when you get past those levels and all the little side games. It's super fun. You feel zero guilt about it.
Not at all. And I like it because whenever you're matching them up together, at first I was just kind of matching willy-nilly. Like, now I feel like I'm strategically matching, and I love it. And I'm like, whoa, I'll start to swipe, and I'm like, no, back up. You could do a better route to swipe it. So it is amazing. With Best Fiends, there's something new today and tomorrow and every single day after that. It is the absolute best thing to kill boredom. You're killing slugs, but also you're killing boredom in your house. So we have something to do forever.
There's literally thousands of levels to play, and they're adding new ones all the time. There's also a ton of cute characters. My favorite is the little dragonfly. I believe his name is Vincent.
I love JoJo.
Vincent. JoJo's great too.
I keep upgrading JoJo, and I'm like, I will make you a
I keep
queen
upgrading Vincent because he's so cute. He reminds me of Simon, honestly. It's just why I love him so much.
He's your little Best Fiend baby. So you guys should try Best Fiends. Just don't blame us if you become obsessed with it because you're going to be fiending like we are. We are fiending. So download Best Fiends free today on the Apple App Store or on Google Play. That is Friends without the R, Best Fiends.
Well,
there
those
go.
are things we've been into and updates in our life. And there's been a ton of updates on cases we've covered as well.
I say that's our cue.
Yes. Yeah. The first one up we're going to discuss is Dyatlov Pass. People always ask, what are the cases y'all have covered that you think about the most? And this is one of them. In February of 1959, 9 Russian hikers died under mysterious circumstances in the Ural Mountains. In our episode on this case, which we re-released last month, we discussed various theories as to what may have happened on that fateful night.
I said I thought it was the KGB.
I said that could have also been what had happened. I also thought that it may have been something, I believe, to do with the auditory
correct
things that caused them to kind of lose it.
Yes.
In June of 2020, the Russian government concluded a year-long reinvestigation of the incident and concluded that a large chunk of snow blocked the hikers from escaping the mountain, and thus they froze to death. However, the Russian government did not account for the radiation found in the hikers or the mutilation of their bodies, including one hiker's cut-out tongue. The public was not satisfied with this explanation, because, as National Geographic stated, it failed to include
key scientific details.
Yeah, they kind of brushed all the really interesting and unexplained weird stuff just right under the snow rug.
I mean, if you're the one that didn't, wouldn't you?
That's true, yes. I think so. In late January 2021, the Smithsonian and National Geographic published the findings of the Snow and Avalanche Simulation Laboratory at the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology. Scientists at the institute utilized technology to
show the plausibility of the avalanche hypothesis,
according to Johann Guam, the head of the Snow Lab at the institute. Guam was led to his conclusions by the Disney film Frozen. After watching the animators' incredibly lifelike animation of the movements of snow, Guam asked the animators to share the code they used to create the film's snow scenes. Another surprising source? Dummies. 1970s crash test results from General Motors helped Guam determine how the bodies would react to various impacts. The results indicated that giant, stiff slabs of snow hurtled toward the tent like a moving wall. That wall then slammed into the bodies and caused car crash type injuries. This is known as a slab avalanche.
Yeah, it's a little bit different because I think initially people were like, oh, an avalanche, as in just a bunch of snow falling. But the picture actually looks like a physical wall. Like it's flat and it's hard, and it would be as if a crash test dummy rammed into a wall. But in this case, the wall rams into the people.
I would like to call this slabalanche going forward.
Yeah, I don't know. They missed the opportunity. If you're a scientist and you're allowed to name things, mash them together.
Yes.
Dunder Mifflinfinity.
Absolutely.
It always goes better together.
In his interview with Live Science, Guam summed up the story as tragic but bittersweet, saying the hikers
took care of their injured friends. No one was left behind. I think it is a great story of courage and friendship in the face of brutal force of nature.
So he's saying that some of the people survived the initial slabalanche, grabbed their friends out of the tents. That's maybe why because there were knife marks cut from the inside out of the tents, as we discussed in our episode. Tried to get their friends out. That's why some were in several different states of undress, and tried to drag them to safety and then froze to death. But like you said, this doesn't explain why their bodies had unusual amounts of radiation, while some had limbs missing, their tongues were cut out, some were found
the
in
trees
like
were
miles away. Yeah. So there was a lot going on.
It could also have happened. Like there could have been a slavalanche, but then also there was some foul play. I think still,
so.
Based upon the investigation. I'm not going to totally dismiss the theory because the animators for the movie Frozen, they spent a lot of time on that code, and it's really, really lifelike. And this guy's, he's the head of a snow lab. Who am I to say he's wrong? But I think it does not. It's a sufficient theory, but I don't know that it necessarily accounts for all of the evidence that we have available.
It does not answer all of the questions.
It is better than the Russian study, which was like, there is nothing to see. I don't know why people keep looking into this. It was slabalanche. We have solved it.
It was slabalanche. Well, in 2013, Canadian student Elisa Lam's mostly nude body was recovered from a water tank on top of the Cecil Hotel in downtown Los Angeles. Chilling security footage shows her strange behavior in the hours leading up to her disappearance and death.
This is one of the first cases we covered.
Yeah, this was like episode 17.
Yeah, it's in the teens.
Yeah. Also one I still think about on the reg. I have not watched this documentary yet. Have you?
Yes.
Okay. I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
I got some opinions.
On February 11th, 2021, Netflix released Crime Scene, The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel. Several theories are explored, including whether there was a cover-up by employees at the hotel, whether Lam took her own life, or whether a hotel guest murdered her.
I think, because you did not watch Don't Fuck with Cats.
No, I can't watch that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and you should, it's fine. But that showed how beneficial online sleuthing can be. And much like what Billy Jensen encourages, very responsible sleuthing and, crowdsourcing of information. This show shows how dangerous, quote unquote, sleuths can be, or, people who fancy themselves as investigators. And instead of having evidence, take wild theories and just take them as fact. And it shows the dangers of that, I think, fairly well. The best part is that they'll put up a screenshot of something somebody typed, and the voiceover actors, I think, when you're doing a voiceover, they're like, do it fun. Do this one a little quirky. They were like, could you be like a snide bitch complaining at a Subway that they did? I keep mentioning Subway because we talked about it, but that they didn't put the meatballs on your sub. So it'll be like, I know exactly who did it. It was definitely a hotel employee. They've got something to hide. And then the mans will be like, I can't believe that the police covered this up and no one figured it out. It's just the voice acting is very assholey. It's like they purposefully, got them to do. But it does show that, because they juxtapose like the medical examiner that did the actual autopsy is like, it took me several weeks because I had to do this and and like scientists, and then somebody that's a YouTuber will be like, well, we were suspicious that it took so long to do an autopsy. They were probably covering something up. It was like, who the fuck?
It's like, no, she had been in a vat of water for days, and the body was severely decomposed.
And he was like, because of the behavior and because of her, history, and that she was prescribed medication, I wanted to do a tox screen because I wanted to see what she was and wasn't on and compare it to the pills that she had. And they're like, the toxicology report took too long. It was probably made up. It's like, what?
You're like, God, just do a little bit of research, you guys. Just a little bit of research.
Or just face it and say, I think it took a long time. Maybe there's an explanation, and you can leave it ambiguous, not be like, because it took long, therefore it was fake. So it was rough to watch. Although they do interview the manager of the hotel a lot, and she seems very weary. And she's like, I just got this job, and I didn't know a bunch of people would just die here all the time.
Oh, God.
She's seen some shit. That lady has seen some shit. Oh,
man. Well, the Netflix series also focuses on a death metal musician from Monterrey, Mexico, named Pablo C. Vergara, whose stage name is Morbid. Vergara had posted a video of himself online, visiting the hotel around the time Lam's body was recovered. Soon, misguided web sleuths began reading into his music, lyrics, and videos, hunting for clues that he may have somehow been involved. The only problem? Morbid didn't visit the Cecil Hotel in February of 2013. He just posted the video then. The video was from a visit a full year earlier. Morbid was actually recording an album in Mexico during Lamb's time at the Cecil.
Yeah, again, it's not very... you take a theory and you run with it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like a death metal guy, and his music videos are really macabre. There's one where there's a picture of Ted Bundy behind him. Is it my style or taste? No. But does that mean he's a murderer? Also, no.
Yeah. And yeah. Despite evidence to the contrary, Morbid received online harassment at the hands of digital detectives. So bad, in fact, that it caused him to attempt to take his own life. Well, this is where that you take a theory, and like we've said so many times, when you're online and you don't have anybody to answer to and you've got that protection of anonymity, you do stuff that you wouldn't do otherwise. And
like, you sick fucking freak, you know you did it. Although he did wear this like kind of a scarecrow from Batman mask, like a bag over his head.
I hate that thing.
And then he's like, this is Morbid. I didn't kill anyone. I am innocent. And I was like, that's not helping your case.
No, your PR rep needs to be like, Morbid, take off that mask.
Tell him your
Show everyone what you look like. Comb your hair. Put on a clean shirt.
So
talk normal.
You really do feel bad for the guy because he's just trying to live his art. And if his art's kind of freaky or whatever, he's not hurting anybody.
Yep. In January of 2021, Zach Bagans and the Ghost Adventures crew visited the Cecil. Speaking with Den of Geek, Bagans said,
I've been a lot of places throughout the world, but when you walk through the doors of the Cecil Hotel, you know there are doorways to other worlds. I believe it goes way down into the earth and draws a lot of energy through the earth. It is then magnified by the dark energy and criminal activity.
I can't take anything he says seriously. After we found out that they tell all their guests what to say and have scripts and everything. Also, maybe that's just part of the hotel. Yeah. If they have doorways to other worlds, that is they're Beetlejuicing it.
Yeah, it's an amenity on TripAdvisor. It's not a defect for you to complain about, Zach Zildo Bag.
They're doubling their customer base by appealing to both this world and the other world.
That's true. You double it up. So, yeah, the documentary talks about, all the different people that have stayed there. So I guess to be fair, if you want to say it's chicken and the egg, I guess is the question of like, did all of these bad people stay there because there was negative energy, or is there negative energy because bad people stayed there? Not talking about Elisa Lam as a bad person. I mean the murderers, the multiple murderers that have stayed there.
Yeah, exactly. While the documentary explores several theories, it does not bring us closer to finding out what exactly happened to Elisa. That's the thing with these cases, like Dyatlov and this, is you can provide new evidence and documentaries can come out, but the fact of the matter is we're probably never going to know the answer to these things unless we get a confession of some sort.
And that's the problem, is you can't, it's like we're all playing with the same puzzle pieces. It's not like somebody's going to put them together. I will say of the web sleuth, I'm not going to talk shit about all of them. There was one or two on there that were more Sherlock Holmesy evidence-based. They're just collecting evidence. They weren't pushing a theory and trying to mash the evidence in to match it. And he had like analyzed the elevator buttons in the video and figured out what floor she was on and what order he was pushing. And he did say, you know, when the door's being held open and everyone was like, oh, is what's happening? Is it a hand? Is someone doing it? Is it malfunctioning? Is it a ghost? He's like, you can see the button she's pushing. And when I visited it, I took a photo and it's door hold. And he said pressing that one time holds the door open for 2 minutes. He's like, she presses it like 6 times. So it's something like that where he's like, I can definitively say she caused the door to be open. And then other things he will say, we don't know, you know, the evidence is here. It says this, this, and this, but we're not sure. So some web sleuths were like, and there were some that were genuinely just collecting the evidence.
And those are the kind that we need.
Correct.
Because that does help you get a little bit closer to solving it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, another story that has seen recent update that we covered is that of Anna Sororkin, also known as Anna Delvey, also known as the Soho Grifter. She scammed hotels, restaurants, and friends out of about $275,000. She was convicted and sentenced to 4 to 12 years in prison in 2019. At her sentencing, Delvey apologized for the mistakes she had made. On Thursday, February 11th, 2021, Delvey was released on parole for good behavior after serving almost 2 years of her sentence. 2 days later, on February 13th, she was spotted at Sephora shopping for makeup. She's also posted several items on social media, including a tweet saying,
"Looking for a boyfriend."
Selfies, a screen grab of Sharon Stone in Basic Instinct, and photos of cameramen following her with the caption,
"Work, work, 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 work."
She also maintains a blog called Anna Delvey Diaries, wherein she has written letters to both Donald Trump and Harvey Weinstein, giving advice on life at Rikers Island.
Yeah, anybody can post anything they want on social media, but as I was scrolling through this, I was like, fuck you.
Yeah.
She just is, she strikes me as a person who has no remorse for what she's done.
Zero.
And is it's one of those where they're famous for being famous, where I'm like, you don't contribute anything. And not even, some people they end up being fashion designers. I don't know, whatever. But she doesn't seem like she gives a fuck about the people she hurt at all. And is very like, oops, I'm drinking a lot of champagne. I'm wearing a $2,000 coat to go to Sephora. They're taking my picture when I'm going to Sephora. And it's like, she just clearly revels, which it irritates me that we're even updating on this, because she just revels in the attention.
Yeah. And she contributes zero to society.
Correct. In fact, arguably, she takes from society.
That's
true.
true.
That we had to house and feed and clothe her for multiple years because of the crime she did.
Absolutely. Well, having been out of prison for only around a week, Delvey said,
I think regret is just a useless feeling.
According to the New York Post. The Post also reported that Delvey has a Netflix deal and has reportedly been paid an initial $30,000 payment for the rights to her life to create a miniseries produced by Shonda Rhimes as part of Rhimes' overall development deal with the streaming service. Contracts obtained through Freedom of Information Act requests show additional payments to Delvey that total $320,000, according to the BBC. The series was still in production as of November 2020, although it has been delayed due to COVID. The Post also reported that the crew seen in her social media posts are a German camera crew that follows the fake heiress around.
Have you ever heard of Caroline Calloway?
Yes.
She makes me think her shit was all fake, and some girl that she went to school with wrote her, like, everyone was like, Caroline Calloway's such a good writer. But then it turns out it was like a roommate, and there was a whole deal about plates with Yale on the back. I don't know, yada, yada. I read the initial story, and it's another person who I'm like, you're just famous for being a fucking idiot.
Yeah. You're famous for pretending to be something you're not, and then you get called out on it, and somehow you're still famous, because that's the story people are more interested in.
True. And I will say, to give Caroline credit, she's the first, like, grifter who made it into, like, this is my job now, look at my, and she posts nudie photos, which you're allowed to do. I'm not here to shame you for doing that. But she turned this, like, I'm like this disingenuous kind of liar persona into, like, a social media persona. So good for her. She did it. And just like before with this Anna person, she didn't have anything original, so now it seems to me like she's trying to play a Caroline Calloway. And I'm like, we got one. We're all stocked up here. We got one. We
only need one. You only need one.
Yeah.
What is that movie? It was one of Will Smith's first movies. And it's all about
Wild West.
No, he
You want to talk about raps? That's a rap.
Oh, yeah, he pretends to be this Sidney Poitier's grandson or son, and he gets into this like rich affluent scene and everything, but it turns out he is just a grifter. Shit, what is the name of that movie? Six Degrees of Separation? I think that's what it's called. Yeah, it's the same premise.
Yeah, just living on a lie.
Yeah, and rich people then in that movie and in this, they kind of just believe what they want to believe, it seems. Like, they don't question it. You're like, oh, you have money? Well, then you must be on the up and up and can hang out with us.
Well, and I watched the thing on the rise and fall of Juicy Couture brand and how, it came about like in the early 2000s when it was very popular to be really like gauche and like labels on everything. And as a person who owned multiple pairs of Juicy Couture track pants and a full tracksuit, like, and sunglasses and like a bag, like I was very into juicy stuff. And but then they talk about how after the '08 crisis that it became a lot more minimalist. People realized like money isn't everything. You don't need that. And I think this Anna person she came about in the decadent, living life, Instagram, yachts, fire festival kind of shit. And she was in prison and you're like, oh no, honey, that's not a thing we do anymore. Like, it's people, I think, in this COVID world that we're living in we're a lot more, what really matters kind of stuff of like, it doesn't matter to go like, I spent $5,000 at a restaurant. Like, people don't do that anymore. You can't go to restaurants.
Right.
A lot of them are shut down. So if like, you're like playing a game or you're trying to play a game and it's over. The buzzer's been called while you were in jail.
Yeah, that's true. That she's been in jail throughout most of the COVID stuff. Yeah.
Well,
on Valentine's Day, Delvey agreed to do an Instagram Live, promising to answer questions from her followers only. However, the appointed time came and went, with Delvey never showing, according to the New York Post.
There you go.
Yep. Well, so again, still not a ton of well, with this one, we didn't need answers. We know she's just a piece of shit. And I think she probably didn't show because she knew people would say just that and be like, how can you still show zero remorse for what you've done?
And she had put like in all caps, like followers only, which would get more people to follow you.
Yeah.
So then you bump your followers up 2,000 or 3,000 and then you don't even have to show up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Go unfollow her.
One more
Nobody
grift.
Follow her.
We got one more grift.
Well, on January 11th, 2018, Kat West was killed outside the home she shared with her husband Jeff and their daughter Lola. Authorities arrested Jeff for the slaying, and he was eventually convicted of reckless manslaughter on November 20th, 2020. West was scheduled to be sentenced on January 11th, 2021, exactly 3 years to the date of his wife's death. The hearing was then delayed a month, though no official reasons were given, according to CBS 42 News. Finally, on February 8th, 2021, Jeff was sentenced to 16 years in prison, but will receive credit for the 3 years he already served while awaiting trial. The maximum sentence Jeff could have received was 20 years, though his defense attorney sought only probation.
Yeah, it was on the higher end of the sentencing guidelines, but
I'm glad.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Wish he'd gotten all 20. If you listen to that episode, you'll know that the evidence was just stacked against this guy, despite what he said and what the victim's family said.
What his mother-in-law said to try to get him acquitted. But his defense attorney seemed pretty smug and was like, well, it's only a reckless manslaughter. We'll get probation. And that is not what happened.
That is not what happened. Good.
Thankfully.
So, yeah.
I mean,
he's
there's
in
no
there
winner.
hopefully for another at least 13 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he may have good behavior. You just feel bad for their daughter. I mean, not that he should have not gone to jail because of the daughter. I think it just none of it should have happened. But she's got good grandparents, it sounds like.
Yeah. Well, one of the biggest updates that continues to, I swear,
constantly.
Every day I get a Google alert about Brittany.
But it's not
something new that's happened.
It's never the update we want, which is that she has been freed.
It's never that update. Well, on February 5th, 2021, FX and Hulu's joint show, The New York Times Presents, released its episode titled Framing Britney Spears. Once again, the internet was set ablaze by the revelations in the documentary, and additional celebrities have joined the hashtag Freed Britney movement. Musician Casey Musgraves said,
Y'all, it's been plaguing me that nobody knows if Britney is truly okay.
Actress and poet Amber Tamblyn tweeted,
I hope Britney is freed of that conservatorship, liberated, as she in her own words said. It's baffling that any judge would continue to uphold it.
And Sarah Jessica Parker simply tweeted, #FreeBritney.
The problem is with I agree with the sentiment, obviously, but it's not that the judge is upholding it. It's that the lawyers aren't filing the things that need to get filed to make it go away.
In addition to the conservatorship, the documentary shined a light on the media's treatment of Britney in the early days of the arrangement. Late-night hosts were shown mocking her after the incidents with shaving her head and damaging the paparazzo's car with an umbrella. A clip of Craig Ferguson went viral for the opposite reason, though, showing him in 2007, explaining how he refused to make Britney Spears jokes, saying,
She needs help.
And admonishing the media.
It's really powerful. The clip that went viral was about 3 minutes, but if you watch the full monologue, it's 12 minutes. And he starts to reflect on his 15th anniversary of sobriety and how he's like, it wouldn't have been that long ago that could have been me. And he talks about she's only 25. She has 2 kids. He's like, you just saw us lose Anna Nicole. And she's like, Anna Nicole has a baby, and everyone is making her death into a joke. That's a baby that did not ask for that. Just like Britney's kids didn't ask for it. And he said, she's a baby herself. She's 25, and she's got all this pressure on her. And he said, it's like America's Funniest Home Videos where the parents holding the camera, and the kid falls and is laughing, and the parent's laughing, and you're like, put down the camera and go help your kid. He's like, the media needs to put down the camera and go help her. And no one's reaching out to her. And he's like, I refused. And you could tell the audience at first is like, oh, Britney Spears, she's going to make some fucking jokes and laugh. And they're like, oh, we're assholes. Oh, no. He's talking about serious shit.
Good for him.
And he's just so
I've
sincere.
always liked him.
Oh, yeah. I loved his show. So he's super sincere. And it's very heart-wrenching to hear him tell his story of sobriety. And he's just in his plea to people of give her empathy and sympathy. And he's like, it's embarrassing. He's like, when you're drunk like that, and he goes, I don't know if she's drunk. I don't know what's wrong. But he's like, when you're in a state like that, it's embarrassing. And he's like, it's harder to ask for help when you're the butt of a joke versus when someone reaches a hand out to you. You're like, damn, Craig Ferguson, damn.
Yeah. Especially, that's embarrassing for a normal person.
Yeah.
Now imagine you're a huge celebrity and millions of people around the globe just saw you at your worst moment.
Mm-hmm.
You can't live that down.
For sure.
And you have to relive it. I mean, my God, that happened in 2007 and people still talk about it. I would die if people still talked about the stupid shit I did. And not that she was obviously in a state. It wasn't stupid shit.
Yeah.
But the stuff that I did that I was embarrassed about when I was 25 years old. My God.
Yeah, the part of the documentary that made me cry, I mean, I got choked up a couple times, but I genuinely... she's being interviewed, and I can't remember if I think it's Matt Lauer is interviewing her, and it's before 2007. It may be early 2007, and it's when the paparazzi was really swarming her about the kid riding in her lap, and he goes, what do you think is going to take for them to leave you alone? Do you think they're ever going to leave you alone? And she goes, because it's like you see her think, I wonder when they'll leave me alone. And then her brain goes, never. They're never going to leave you alone. This is your life. And her eyes just well up and she puts her hands in her face and she just starts sobbing. And you're like, it's crushing. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. Because the answer to that question is never.
Yeah.
It's
and
never.
She's right. They still don't leave her alone.
Uh-huh.
Well, another player who didn't make it out unscathed from the documentary's coverage was Justin Timberlake. In the documentary, he is heard speaking about his sex life with Britney. After the doc's release, Timberlake was dragged online for his treatment of Britney at the time for greatest suffering and for his mistreatment of Janet Jackson after the Nipplegate issue. His apology, posted to Instagram, read in part,
I've seen the messages, tags, comments, and concerns, and I want to respond. I specifically want to apologize to Britney Spears and Janet Jackson, both individually, because I care for and respect these women, and I know I failed. The industry is flawed. It sets men, especially white men, up for success. It's designed this way. I have not been perfect in navigating all this throughout my career. I want to take accountability for my own missteps. I can do better, and I will do better.
Comments weren't kind to Justin, stating incredulously,
It took you 17 years to do this.
And
Alexa, play Too Little Too Late by JoJo.
well, it's perhaps too little too late, but at least he came out and said something positive about the whole thing.
Man, when you get down into what happened with Nipplegate and that, my big thing, another thing I'm always into and have also been watching a lot of is sports documentaries.
Yeah.
Like YouTube breakdowns and 30 for 30s, but I watch a lot of YouTube breakdowns and stuff, and one of them was about the Super Bowl and what happened after that for him, what happened after that for her, and he was a little shit.
You know,
after that.
I remember it happening. He grabbed her costume and ripped it, and it exposed her nipple.
And then she got in trouble for it.
Yes. Although, wasn't it planned, or was it not planned?
It was not planned, and the issue was that he was allowed to perform at the Super Bowl later, and she wasn't. She was, like, super shamed about it. He didn't apologize to her. Yeah, and then...
So she did not know he was going to grab her top and rip it open?
From what I understand, that is correct.
And his intention was to expose her breasts?
I think that's what... Yeah, I mean, it was... I think he thought it would be, I'm going to have you naked at the end of the song, that it would have been good. I wonder if maybe he thought something was under it. It's one of those where both parties have said, oh, the other party did it, or she was in on it and she said, no, I wasn't. Either way, she's the one that really got in a lot of trouble for it. And
she was completely slut-shamed.
And, like, ostracized for it. And then on the documentary, there's a couple of instances where Britney's being interviewed about, are you a virgin? Are you having sex with Justin? And again, you just see her face like, I don't really want to talk about this. Or one guy's like, we're here to talk about your breasts. And she's like, it's so awkward. But then there's an interview with Justin on a radio station, and they're like, did you do it? Did you bang Britney? Come on, tell us, man. Did you do it? And he was like, come on, guys. Yeah, I did. And you're like, oh, man. And he was a dumbass kid or whatever. But still, like they said, and Paris and I were talking about it, like, now, because we watched it together, and he's like, God, I didn't know it was as bad as it was, you know, the treatment of her. And I said, I think we recently saw that hopefully we as a society have evolved, because when Demi Lovato recently was going through a ton of bad stuff, you know, she was going through a lot of mental health issues and eating disorder and substance use issues. The whole community was like, we've got your back. We love you. We're supporting you. Nothing was like, she's going crazy. She's off the rock. You know, nobody, all the shit that Britney went through, luckily now people don't go through. The shitty thing is that she did have to go through it, and you kind of see the impact it had on her. And so I think maybe a lot of celebrities now are like, yeah, free Britney. Oh shit. And it's like, you were famous back then. You could have said something in 2008 and you did. None of you did. I mean, Casey Musgraves wasn't
too little,
famous.
too late for a lot of them.
Correct. Yeah. I'm like, well, suddenly I'm offended by this. And it was like, it's been going on since 2008.
Yeah. Demi Lovato is about to have a documentary come out too.
She's so fucking good. Her inauguration performance. She's
great. Yeah.
I wept. God, I cried the whole time.
Yeah. Her substance abuse, I think that's a large part of what this documentary is about. And she's recently come out saying that she had 3 strokes and a heart attack from her overdose, and like still has brain damage, and
it's hard.
Wasn't even able to like read for months afterwards because she didn't have complete vision and stuff. Yeah, I mean, she was in a bad way. But like you said, she received a lot of support from the community, which hopefully that does show that we as a society are turning a corner.
Yeah, we've evolved, hopefully, somewhat.
Well, on February 11th, 2021, attorneys for both Britney and Jamie Spears appeared in an LA court in front of Judge Brenda Penny to determine whether Jamie could retain previously granted rights, including the rights of determining Britney's investments. Attorney Vivian Lee Thoring appeared at the hearing on Jamie's behalf. She also appeared in the documentary as a, quote, former member of Jamie's legal team, but is later identified as having rejoined the team after giving the interviews.
Very powerful note, too, is they're interviewing her, and it says, former member of Jamie Spears' legal team. And the producer goes, so how often do people get out of these conservatorships? And she's like, and he goes, could just like, you know, statistically. And she's like, never. He goes, in your practice, what have you seen? She's like never. She goes, it never. She goes, it rarely happens, if ever. And then, like, a couple of minutes later, it's like, Vivian Thoring later rejoined Jamie Spears' legal team. You're like, Paris goes, this is powerfully edited. It's like, yes, it is.
Well, Thoring argued that Samuel Ingham, Britney's lawyer, purposely drafted the November 2020 order in an
unclear and ambiguous manner
in an effort to strip Jamie of his powers. According to KKTV LA, Ingham said at the hearing,
it's no secret that my client does not want her father as co-conservator, but we recognize that removal is a separate issue.
Thoring countered that
Ms. Spears reflected in court papers that she wanted her father to be the sole conservator of her estate,
referring to statements Britney made earlier in the conservatorship. Well, like we've said several times on all of the first two-parter, and then we've done a Britney update on our Patreon as well, until Brittany stands up in a court of law and the words come out of her mouth, I feel like we're never going to really get to the bottom of this or get a final answer on anything.
Mm-hmm. And someone, I was on one of my lawyer forums or whatever, and they were like, well, why do you think, she's still under it? Well, because kind of the magic key to trying to get out of a conservatorship is making a written request to the court. I mean, you take a Post-it note and write, I don't want to be in a conservatorship anymore. And that should trigger, and I know in Texas law, and then there's a similar procedure in California law, it will trigger the court to appoint someone to, a court investigator will go and investigate like their activities of daily living, investigate their financial situation, and then make a determination or make a recommendation to the court. And someone said, I wonder if her lawyer has told her, if you do that, the state you're in now, they're not going to let you out of it. And it's going to be worse. So what we should do is like the strategic thing to do that some of these other attorneys were saying, and I agree with, is step one, get Jamie's powers reduced. So he's no longer the conservator of the person. Step two, get him reduced further. He's no longer the full conservator of the estate. So now his powers are getting winnowed down. And guess what? If Samuel Ingham wrote it like that, he did it on fucking purpose. Like he's been at this for years. He didn't accidentally write an unclear and ambiguous order. Because when you file a motion with the court, you also add an order to the back that says like, hey, judge, if you like my motion and want to agree with it, all you have to do is sign this piece of paper. I've already written the order for you. And sometimes judges will add things to it or like scratch stuff out. But Ingham's proposed order took a lot of Jamie's powers and gave him over to Bessemer Trust, and she was on purpose. Like Ingham did that on purpose because that's what she wants. She doesn't, and also Jamie Spears is a guy. Bessemer Trust is a full ass investment company.
Right? Who
should be in charge of the investments? He's like, well, I've been it for the last however many years. Fine and good for you. But that doesn't mean you're the best suited for the job.
Not at all.
So I think it was purposeful. So I think maybe, step one is he's no longer conservator of the person. Step two, he's no longer sole conservator of the state. Maybe step three, Bessemer Trust goes, hey, we disagree with what he's doing or he's doing something we don't like. Then maybe there's cause, like what does Samuel say? Removal is a separate issue. It's no secret that my client does not want her father in this role. And so that is, to me, him saying our next step is going to be to try to elbow him out and get him out. And then maybe figure out a way to remove the conservatorship.
Yeah.
It's just going to be step by step by step.
Well, hopefully it continues going that way.
Yeah.
Well, for now, Brittany's chosen fiduciary, Bessemer Trust, is serving as co-conservator along with Jamie and has been tasked with making certain financial and investment decisions on Brittany's behalf. So yeah, hopefully they're on the right path to her eventually getting her freedom back, and at least she's getting it back in little chunks.
Yeah, little by little, for sure. And her boyfriend kind of came out and said he took her side. He backs her up and everything. So,
and that her dad is
a total
huge
dick,
piece of shit, and always has been. I think a total dick is the quote exactly.
That's exactly what he slammed her father for being a quote total dick.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, so what do we think?
Oh man, like I said, the exact time that we took off, it was like perfect timing. It was like bam, 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 bam. Everything we've already covered, they cropped up. The
universe
resurfaced.
was working in our favor with this one.
I think so. So it's been, I guess it was definitely a good break for you. You really needed it. I like to keep saying that we were on maternity leave.
We were. I
did nothing for the baby.
You, first of all, that's not true at all. And I want to publicly say right now how much I appreciate you doing so much during this time. Heather basically did everything. She did do everything. She ran everything for the past month. So thank you so much. And you did a wonderful job. And I love you.
I love you.
Gave me a fantastic, sweet necklace that has Tommy and I's names and Simon and Ella's name on it. And it's so cute. Also, have I even told everyone what you did for my baby shower?
I don't think so.
I think we should post the video on Patreon.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Heather had a special guest attend my virtual baby shower. And that special guest is Fiona the Hippo. Fiona they videoed her from the Cincinnati Zoo telling me congratulations. They were feeding her things. They said, congratulations, Ella. I openly wept. Like, I embarrassed myself at my baby shower. As soon as Fiona popped on the screen, I yelled, and then I just sobbed uncontrollably.
You yelled out, "That's Fiona!" It was great.
Tommy had to put his hand on me, like, "Are you okay? Is this?" I probably made everyone uncomfortable, but it was awesome. Yeah, I was thinking the other night, I was like, we should put that on Patreon, because I've talked about Fiona so much on Mixed Bags and stuff that, and I know that a lot of our Patreons love her just as much.
Oh
as
yeah,
I do.
I'll upload that. I have it on my laptop.
Nice, awesome. Well, it's good to be back, everybody.
We got an all new one for you next week.
Yeah, we do. Yes, so keep tuning in. Oh man, I was doing so well.
We're getting back on it. We're getting back
and
on
then,
the
yeah, that was rusty. That was rusty there. We love providing Sinisterhood to you at no cost, so if you like what you hear, consider supporting the show by donating to our Patreon. We're a small operation, creating this show for you by researching, writing, recording, and producing it ourselves. Any amount is sincerely appreciated and helps offset the cost of making and hosting the show.
As a thank you, you'll also get some sweet perks like ad-free episodes, a Sinisterhood sticker, membership to our exclusive Patreon Facebook group for those in the Ruling the Airwaves tier, a special shout-out on the show, a monthly bonus mini-sode, and patron-exclusive video and audio content, including some fun new additions we've been rotating in with our mixed bags, wheel segments, including Am I the Asshole, and relationship advice.
Yes, they're super fun. I love them so much.
It's my favorite.
You also now have the fun perk of access to our Discord server, where you can connect with other fans in real time and discuss the latest in true crime, share personal ghost stories, or just post adorable pictures of your pets. We'll also be hopping in occasionally and hosting monthly Q&As, where you can ask us all your burning questions.
For our patrons not in the U.S., you now have the option to pay in pounds or euros, saving you the cost of the conversion fee. Annual memberships for all tiers are also now available. Those that select this option will be rewarded with a free month of membership.
For more details on all of this and specific member tiers, visit Sinisterhood.com and click Patreon in the top right corner to join today. And make sure you stick around after our sign-offs to hear your shout-out, which we will be doling out in chunks.
In batches.
Because there's almost 300 Patreon shout-outs to get through from the past month. So if you don't hear yours on this one, trust us, it is coming up.
So many of you have been tagging us in pictures of you sporting your sweet Sinisterhood merch, and we love them. Keep those pictures coming. We recently added a new tote bag design and some socks. There's also hats, clothes, tote bags, mugs, anything you want. Visit Sinisterhood.com and click on shop in the top right corner.
The best thing you can do to help us grow is like, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcast. And please tell a friend who you think would like us to check us out. It means so much to us and really helps podcasts like us get more exposure.
You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Sinisterhood Pod and like us on Facebook at Sinisterhood. Christy?
I am on... Man, I haven't been on in so long. I got to remember what all my stuff is. I'm on Twitter at Christy or GTFO, and I'm on Instagram at Christy M. Wallace.
I am on Twitter at MCK versus the world and on Instagram at Heather versus the world.
As always, the devil rules the airwaves.
Keep it creepy. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for subscribing on Patreon. Here are your special Patreon shoutouts. Erica Kelly,
Samantha Coco,
Kim Toth,
Ellen Lickman,
Janelle Cockcroft, a.k.a. Pokesplort,
Shannon Fisher,
Aaron,
Sydney Laporta,
Emily Messenger,
Danielle Navarrete,
Maura Loesch,
Abby Karam,
Yannette Cecil,
Nikki McHenry,
Becca Ford,
Ashley Wywius,
Melissa Kimla,
Heather Rondo,
Sherry W.,
Samantha,
Emerald Calvo,
Destiny Olinger,
Leah Beatty,
Aaron Collins,
Melissa Fox Chipley,
and Sissy. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show and sticking with us. It sincerely means so much to us. We appreciate all your support, especially during these trying times. Stay safe, stay healthy, and keep it creepy.
Say